Cutting hair with clippers gets much easier, and your haircuts will improve greatly if you follow the basic how-to I'll show here. First, we'll take a look at the two kinds of clipper cutting.
This first one is called clipper over comb cutting. I call this one direct contact clipping. Here the clipper touches the scalp while the hair is being cut.
There are two basic kinds of direct contact cutting. The one just shown has the bottom of the blade in contact with the scalp as the clipper moves through the hair. Always finish the path you're cutting with a taper out movement like this.
At the end of a clipping path, you don't stop with the bottom of the blade touching the scalp. Instead, you taper away from the scalp like this.
It doesn't matter if your cutting path stays low, goes up medium high, or is cut up quite high on the sides or back. Always finish your pathway cutting with this taper out move. The other direct contact cutting has just the tips of the clipper blade in contact with the skin at the edge of the hairline. This kind of cutting is called edging.
Where the edge line is fairly straight, all of the clipper blade is used. On curved areas, just the edge of the blade does the cutting.
Don't cut up into the hair-growing surface of the scalp any more than necessary to get the desired edge line cut. A minimum cutting gets the job done best. Here's a look at some over-the-comb tapering.
Starting at the nape of the neck, with the comb touching the skin and the teeth pointing away from the scalp, several over-the-comb cuts are made, each a little farther from the scalp.
This kind of cutting needs a head that doesn't move around, which rules out most children under the age of 4 or 5. Regular haircuts can be cut very short on the sides and back, and they can be left quite full around the sides. The big majority of regular haircuts fall between these two extremes. Typically, these haircuts are cut fairly short around the lower sides and back using the direct contact cutting method. Then the over-the-comb method is used on the hair higher up to taper it gradually longer so it blends with the top hair. The place where the direct contact cutting stops and the over-the-comb cutting begins is a trouble spot for most hair cutters. The solution to this troublesome area is quite simple. All you need to do on your direct contact cutting is start off with a longer coarse cutting blade and then drop down a couple of blade sizes for your over-the-comb cutting. Here's a good example of this kind of cutting.
Here I use a blade that leaves the hair 3/8 of an inch on the direct contact cutting, and switch to a blade that leaves the hair a little less than 1/4 inch for the over-the-comb cutting. Achieving a nice smooth taper like this also works well with a clipper that uses attachments.